We are in chapter 4 today, and we continue with our conversation. And chapter 4 is it's a beautiful, beautiful chapter. I'm not going to read all of it, I'm just going to frame it for us. From verse 1 all the way to verse 5 is the man in this story speaking about and showering the lady with some serious compliments. How beautiful you are, my darling, oh, how beautiful. Your eyes behind your veil are like doves. Your hair is like a flock of goats descending from the hills of Gilead. Your teeth are like a flock of sheep just shorn, coming up from the washing. Each has its twin, not one of them is alone. Your lips are like scarlet ribbon. Your mouth is lovely. Your temples behind your veil are like herbs of a pomegranate. Your neck is like the Tower of David, built with courses of stone. On it hung 1,000 shields, all of them shields of warriors. Your breasts are like two fawns, like twin fawns on a gazelle that browse among the lilies. You know, there are two things you should never do. One is to try and draw what this guy is describing, because you're going to end up with something that looks extremely weird, because we're talking sheep and other animals, and you're like, what is he talking about? Like, so you can't draw that, number one. Number two, you can't use this language in our day to day. There is no way you're going to tell someone like their neck is like the Tower of David. Hey, bro, let's just say you won't be understood. But really, what we're seeing here is like the guy is really affirming and really speaking and saying there's this theme that we've been riding on since day one, and it's the theme of vulnerability. Like, it takes a lot of vulnerability to be able to, and a lot of like humility. I think those are the two words we've really used to be able to affirm someone and be like, you're beautiful, like your eyes, you know, your lips, and this is language that is very lost in church. Like, hey, let me tell you, church dudes, we do not affirm ladies, maze. Like, even in the honest, you're just telling someone you really look beautiful and like your eyes are, hey. And then also, church ladies, you don't take compliments well. If somebody came and started telling you about like eyes and lips, you'll be like, hey, this guy, and he leads worship. Apana. No, I think it's good to compliment beauty in the way that it is. Like, you really look beautiful. Like, and that's what we are seeing here. But the thing I love is that this kind of love and this language of love and this affirmation of love and this space that the dude creates, it pushes for a response that is so powerful. In fact, I want to read that response from a different version of the Bible, and that's the Passion Translation. I've really loved the Passion Translation and their like positioning of this book and how they've interpreted the scriptures. And it says in verse 6, so the dude has said all these things about her, and all these nice things, you're beautiful, what devotion I see in you, your life has become clean and pure, you show grace and balance it with truth, your lips are as lovely as Rahab's scarlet. And then it goes on, when I look at you, I see your inner strength so stately and strong. You are as secure as David's fortress. Your virtues and grace cause 1,000 famous soldiers to surrender to your beauty. Hey, your pure faith and love rest over your heart as you nurture those who are yet infants. The guy has said all these things that we are reading from the Passion Translation, and listen to the lady's response in verse 6. She says, I have made up my mind until the darkness disappears and the dawn has fully come, in spite of shadows and fears. Eish. disappears, fears, shadows. I will go to the mountaintop with you, the mountain of suffering love, and the hill of burning incense. Yes, I will be your bride. Whew, I will be your bride. What a beautiful verse. And what a beautiful 6 verses we've read today. And I think what I wanted us to see is there's an environment that births a response. You know, listen to the words that the dude uses. In fact, I dare you to read them. Just go to YouVersion and read chapter 4, verse 1 to 6 in the Passion Translation, and you'll see those words. They are so, they just had to bear a response. And listen to her response. It says, I have made up my mind. In other words, I've decided that whatever happens, in spite of the shadows and fears, I will go to the mountaintop with you, the mountain of love and the hill of burning incense. Yes, I will be your bride. Wow. Are you seeing? There's, there's, there's this vulnerability that bears a response. The guy is able to communicate and just say, like, these are the things I see in you. And what does it lead to? A response of, I'm going to be your bride. I'm going to do this thing with you. But I like what it says here. It says, in spite of shadows and fears, I will go to the mountaintop with you. In spite of shadows and fears, I have made up my mind. And in a sense, what it is like, Yani, I have made up my mind, even though I don't know how things are going to be. There are going to be fears, there are going to be shadows, there are many things we're going to go through, but my mind has been made up. I am going to be your bride. This is so like eye-opening for us to see today. Yes, that there is a way, there's an environment that is created that bears this kind of a response. That there is a responsibility, especially for us as dudes, to create an environment that bears this kind of a response. You know, and the thing I find is the power of this verse when she says, I've made up my mind. Until the darkness disappears and the dawn has fully come, in spite of shadows and fears, I'm going to go to the mountaintop with you. I'm climbing the mountain of love with you. I'm doing life with you. Yeah, there's power in making this decision. Yesterday we talked about, when you find the person, now hold them. Stop searching. Like your search is over. Make the decision. Make up your mind that this is it. Relationships, marriages, whether it's dating, they thrive when we make the decision and we close the door. Yeah. And I was reading this story that back in the day, there was this experiment that was being done, and there are 3 sets of people that were put in 3 movie theaters. And in the first movie theater, they, like the signs that they have that are written exit, the exit door, they kind of just like switched off that sign, and they left the door closed. I mean, they left the door like it was open, but it was shut. You know what I mean? Like it's not locked, but they switched off that sign that says exit. In the second movie theater, they closed the door, and then like the door was shut, not locked, but the sign was on. Yeah, that says exit. And you've seen that in movie theaters, like that exit sign, it was on. And then in the third movie theater, they left the door partly open, and then the exit sign, they kept it flickering, like it was just going on, off, on, off, on, off. The findings from this research were that fewer people left the room, the movie theater, to go, whether it's to the washrooms or to pick something in the first movie theater. Very few, like maybe 1 or 2 people. And this movie theaters, I think, had about 200 people. Maybe 1 or 2 people left the room. In the second one, a considerable number left, like 10% walked out because they could see the exit sign, so they went, went to the door, opened the door, ran out, grabbed something, did something, came back. Yeah. But in the movie theater where the sign was flickering and the door was like slightly open just to let some light in, over 100 people walked in and out as the movie was going on. What are we saying with this? This is the same thing that happens to our relationships and marriage. Yeah. You see here she said, I've made up my mind. Until dark, in spite of shadows and fears, it is you. I'm going to the mountaintop. I'm going to the mountain of suffering love and the hill of burning incense. I will be your bride. What this statement tells you is that a decision has been made. It's like the exit door has been locked. This is it. Yeah. And I feel like maybe today we are not getting into relationships with that in mind. We are living, the exit door is the sign is flickering, it keeps popping and popping and popping and popping. It's calling for our attention, and the door is slightly open. And because the door is slightly open and the exit sign is flickering, many more people are walking out of marriages than generations ago when the exit that light at the exit was not as lit. The option of leaving the marriages were not as many as they are today. I think this scripture pushes us to make the decision to stay, to make up our minds to stay, regardless, because she says, in spite of shadows and fears. Shadows are like things I cannot even be able to predict, and fears are like all these questions I have and all these concerns I have that cannot be answered. But she's saying, even then, I have made up my mind. I will be your bride, or I will be your husband. Yeah? What if we really made that decision and closed the exit door and switched that sign off and said, we are gonna figure this thing out regardless? Yeah? I think it's a challenge for us, especially those of us who are Christians. It's a challenge for us to shut that option, that is the exit door. Because one day, if you keep that sign, flicker like that, one day it's gonna catch your attention or catch my attention, and we'll leave things that God has planted us in and relationships that God has planted us in. This scripture is calling us to a place of commitment, regardless of the shadows and the fears, of saying, I'm gonna walk this journey. I'm committing to walk this journey. I don't know what the future is going to hold, but I'm committing to walk this journey. And that decision cannot be made by just one person. It is both entrants who say, we are going to walk through this journey together. There's an environment that has to be created that leads to this kind of a response. And it is our prayer, it is my prayer, really, really my prayer, that we will get to this place where we can make this decision and just say, shadows and fears, they may come, but I've decided I'm going to be your husband, I'm going to be your wife. We are closing the exit door, we are switching off that exit sign, and we are walking through this thing all the way to the end so that we can bring glory and honor to God. That's my submission to you today. I pray that God gives you the ability to commit and the ability to make the decision that matters, to stay and to walk through, regardless of what the future has. God bless you. Bye.